are solving linear systems of inequalities. So last week, the last thing we did was graphing linear inequalities. Today, we're working with systems of inequalities. A solution is an ordered pair that makes the inequalities true, all of them, or we can look at it as a point in the overlapping shaded region. So what we're going to do today is essentially the same thing we were doing on Thursday. Only instead of doing one line in shading, you're going to be doing two in shading. You're going to come up with a solution from both of them together. Okay, so it's a little bit more than what we did last time, but essentially if you could do what we were doing on Thursday, you're not going to have any problems today. Now over here on the board, I have a hint, I have a reminder of how to do these things. So this is what we were doing when we were working on Thursday. If they are greater than, you're going to have a dashed line and you're going to shade above the line. If it's less than, you're going to have a dashed line and you're going to shade below the line. Greater than or equal to, it's a solid line, shade above. Less than or equal to, it's a solid line and you shade below. And these problems over here are for problem number 1 in your classwork. When you get your classwork, that's part of problem number 1. Okay, just so you see. So what we're doing that's different, you can't, when we've done systems of equalities, we just got done doing a skill test. You can solve it and find the X and Y combination that works in both. You can add them, subtract them, and do substitution. If they are inequalities, the only way to solve a system of linear inequalities is to graph them. You cannot solve them. If you have inequalities, you have to graph. You cannot solve these any other way. But it's actually really not that difficult. All you have to do is graph each one individually. So let's graph this first one here on top. Okay. What's our y-intercept? Where do we start the graph on this one? What are we adding or subtracting?
-4.
-4. So I go to -4. And I put a dot. Let me recalibrate here for a second. Okay. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it's a little bit better. So I put a dot on -4. And then my slope is 2 over 1. So I go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Do I have a dashed line or do I have a solid line? It's a dashed line because it's not or equal, it's just greater than. So I have a dashed line. And then it's greater than, so I shade above. Now, if you are shading on your paper with a pencil, do it very lightly. Trust me on this one. Go real light. I can't go light with the markers. But you'll notice I'm not scribbling it in fully solid like I did before. If you're having a pen or something, this is how I recommend that you do it if you're using a pen instead of a pencil. But if you have a pencil, just shade, but shade real lightly, and you'll understand why in a minute. Okay. So that's what you do to graph an inequality. For those of you who are not here on Thursday, that's what we did. Okay. Second one here, I do the exact same thing. Where do I start? What's my y-intercept? 4. So I go and I make a dot on 4. And then my slope is -3 over 4. So I go down 3 and over 4. And I can't really go down 3 and over 4 anymore. So I need to know, is this a solid line or dashed line?
Solid.
Solid. Okay, it's or equal to. And then I have to know which side do I shade, above or below?
Below.
I shade below. It's less than, I shade below the line. So if you have a pencil, once again, you would just shade it in very lightly. Okay? Get a pencil, shade it in very lightly. Here's what we're looking for. Our solution our answer to our system is where they overlap. This, that is where our solution is, where the two shaded areas overlap. Where the two shaded areas overlap, that is your solution set. Okay? The other parts actually we don't really care about, just where they overlap each other. So if you're doing this in pencil, do what I did here. You did this one lightly, you did this one lightly, take this area where they overlap, make it darker. Okay, make it darker. Okay? That's how you do a system of inequality. You cannot do this any other way other than graphing them. Graph one, shade. Graph the other one, shade. Where do the two shaded areas overlap each other? That's your solution. That's your answer. Okay? Questions? Okay, let's do it again. So the top one. Y is less than 2x minus 3. So I'm going to graph this one here. Where do I start? Negative 3. And what's my slope on this one?
2 over 1.
2 over 1. So I go up 2 and over 1. Up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. I can do the same thing going the other direction. Yeah. Is this a solid line or dashed line on this one?
Dashed.
It's a dashed line. And do I do above or below? Is Y greater than or less than?
Do it below.
You're right, I did the slope wrong on this one. It went up 1 and over 2, not up 2 and over 1. I got one kid that caught me and corrected me. Let me fix that. Start at negative 3, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, 2 over 1. There we go. There, that's better. And once again, do I shade above or below?
Below.
Below, because Y is less than, so I shade below. Once again, if you're doing it in pencil, do it lightly. If you're doing it in pen, which you should not be doing this in pen, but if you're doing this in pen, do what I do. Do the hash marks that don't shade it in heavily. Okay, and then when you graph the other one, you'll do hash marks in a different direction, and where you have them crossing each other, that's your area, that's your solution. Now this one's a little different. I could use X and Y intercepts on this one if I want to, but if I use X and Y intercepts, this doesn't work real good. So what you might want to do, and I know a lot of you do this, solve for Y. This one's easy to solve for Y. Subtract 2x from both sides. And I get Y is greater than negative 2x plus 2. Remember, these two cannot be combined. One has x's, one does not. Where do I start on this one? 2. And then my slope is negative 2 over 1. So I go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. And is this solid or dashed?
Dashed.
Dashed on this one too. Do I shade above or below?
Above.
Above on this one. Y is greater than negative 2x, so I shade above. So when you have like this situation, once again, it's where it overlaps. Take the place where the two shaded areas overlap and darken that in. That's my answer. Where the two shaded areas overlap, that's my solution. Nice thing is, if you have 3 or more inequalities, you do the same thing. You just have this one and this one and this one. If all the shaded areas overlap, that's your solution area. You can have several inequalities do that. Okay. Actually do that as part of Algebra 2. Okay, we haven't done much of this, but it's actually not that hard. writing the equation of the line. Let's start with the blue line first, because I got the blue pen in my hand. So we're going to start with the blue line. So we're going to have y some inequality and x plus or minus some number. What's our y-intercept? Where does that graph cross? At -1. So that means we're going to have a -1 here at the end. And then we're going to have an x, and in front of the x, we're going to have our slope. And all you have to do is figure out what we're doing. What's our rise and run? We go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Every single one of those, up 1 over 1. So that means our graph, our slope is going to be 1 over 1. If you want to leave it like that, that's good. If you want to make it just 1x, that's okay as well. I don't care. Now I need to figure out what side of that blue line am I shaded. Am I shaded above or below? This area here isn't a whole lot of help because that's the shaded for both.
Above.
So I look over here where it's just the blue line by itself. It's above, which means that its y is greater than. Is it or equal to? Is it solid or dashed? Solid, so it has to be or equal to. It's not that hard to come up with an equation from a graph. Where's the y-intercept? What's my slope? Okay. Red line, same idea. Where does it cross at? Where do we start? Starts up here, and yeah, that's 5, right? Yeah. So I have a +5 for that. X in front of there. And I got to figure out my slope. I go down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. So I go down 1 and over 2. I have my y out front. Now I need to figure out my inequality. Am I shaded above or below? Below the red line, so that means y is less than. Is it a solid line or a dashed line? Dashed, so I'm done. It's good. Okay? If you can do the inequalities, graph an inequality, what we're doing on Thursday, you can do this. Because you just do 2 at the same time, and where do they overlap? Okay? Questions?